Hi everyone, I hope you're keeping safe and well. I've been thinking a lot about doing this video and whether or not it's the right thing to do, because it's something so very personal, but it's something that affects thousands of people. So I said in a video that I did a few weeks back that I was actually, because we were talking about the recovery after the recovery. I don't know if you remember or if you saw it for that matter, but we were talking about the long-term effects of eating disorders. Even when somebody does go through the recovery, like there's lots of stuff that carries on, like lots of stuff. And I opened up about the fact that I was going to a fertility clinic, because in all honesty I wanted to look at freezing my eggs. I'm 37 years old, I'm single, and I don't want to rush into a relationship just for the sake of becoming a mum. Because I'd love to be a mum one day. My mum always said, you're a mum before you're a mum. And my grandma was a midwife and she always said the same thing. And if you weren't an actress, you'd be a teacher and all of that. So I I'm 37, aware that time is ticking around here, but also aware that because of the 13 years I've put myself through, I put my body through a lot of trauma and pressure and self-harm, let's be honest. Eating disorders are a form of self-harm because you're hurting yourself. So I thought it was about time that I looked into whether I could actually have children, because with and not a lot of people know this, and I think it's important that they do. With anorexia, the obviously the weight loss affects the hormones, but also the reproductive system and the internal organs, they shrink to prepubescent size, and also the menstrual cycle can stop, and that leads to problems with fertility or outright infertility for some. For me, my period stopped when I was I think it's about 11 and a half, so my period started at 10, I was quite young, and then they stopped at 11 and a half for a good 2 years. And then sort of in and out of this roller coaster journey, but there's been months where I might not have had them, but for the last sort of many years, my periods have been regular. However, that doesn't mean that I've not been aware and, let's be honest, scared of the repercussions of what I put my body through. And actually, it's not just those women who suffer with anorexia. It's infertility and fertility issues can come about for people with binge eating disorder, and also bulimia, men and women actually, because the fluctuation in weight and in vital minerals and hormones affects the sex hormone in men and women when they're going through a binge period, and then they purge and then they make themselves sick. It's a very vicious cycle, and you can imagine the hormones and your metabolism is all over the place because it doesn't know whether it's coming or going. So it's a big issue, not just for those who are deemed low in weight, and as we know, anorexia can affect any weight, shape or form. But I'm just wanting you to make sure that you understand that there's ARFID, OSFED, all of the eating disorders. No one, you can try and put your head in the sand, but it doesn't happen. Like fertility is a big thing on that, and the reason I wanted to talk about it as well was because anybody who is feeling like they're struggling with an eating disorder but hasn't reached out for help yet, please do, because I want to save you that realization and that pain. And that's why, you know, we look at this in the eating disorder educational toolkit in schools. You know, we make kids aware that, you know, eating disorders affects the libido, it affects the sex hormone, and it affects the fertility of those affected, you know, because it's important. So back to me, you know, growing up in Hull, it was always kind of like your path was that you go through school, you meet someone, you get married, you have kids, and you get your house, and that's it, boom, shebang, or whatever order it may be in. And that's, you know, that's kind of like what I always potentially thought might happen, whether it be I stayed in Hull or not. Like, and even when I was fighting for my life, I always thought, well, kids are going to be in my future because I'd make a bloody good mum. So anyway, I went to the fertility clinic to look at freezing my eggs, and wasn't particularly pleasant, you know, like the stuff that gets looked at. But it was amazing, like just amazing to be able to like look at an ultrasound of your womb and your ovaries, and like, God, like technology and medical assistance is just like, it was, I found it fascinating. But it was also, you know, it's quite intrusive, and it was quite emotional. And the good news, you know, was that my ovaries were accessible, and that the, you know, womb was still quite fluid. And, you know, in fairness, I'd been brave, and I told the clinic that I went to in particular, and the doctor that I went to see, all about my past with an eating disorder, because I think that's really important as well. And this is another reason I'm doing the video. Please don't feel ashamed or scared if you're having trouble conceiving, or you want to talk about your options with fertility, you know, because it's really important that you're safeguarded, and that whoever your doctor is, or whoever your, you know, specialist is, they know the full picture, because that's putting your medical health first and foremost, and we don't want to put that at risk. So that's just another side, another thing to think about. Don't be ashamed, be brave, like talk about it, because, you know, you want the best possible care and outcome for you. So back to me, and then there was a discovery of a little cyst, and that seemed not to be too much of a worry. And then I had a mild form of endometriosis, which was a bit confusing because I don't actually struggle with periods or pain too much. Being open and honest, you know, I don't have heavy bleeds like people with endometriosis do. But then it came to the follicles, looking at the follicles, which creates the eggs and the ovarian reserve. And look, I'm not an expert in this, so I was just sort of like going, yeah, okay, I think I get that. And the doctor said that I don't have many follicles that you can see. And in a woman of my age at 37, you would expect to find at least, you know, 16 or 17, and he could only see maybe 5. So I was like, what does that mean? And so then, you know, we get dressed, and you get your dignity back, and you put your pants on, and you know, sort of sat down and discussed my options, and he explained all of it with me. And then he asked me to go for a blood test because he wanted to make sure that you know, what he was thinking was correct. Anyway, I know that I'm waffling on, but I just think this is important. So you can either switch off if it's like of no use to you, but I you know, I think we need to talk about this because yeah, it's important. So then, long story short, she says, going against what I've just said, I had the blood test, and somebody of my age, as I say, the doctor had said you'd expect around 16 follicles, and you could only see about 6. But also through the egg freezing process, for a woman of my age, 37, like I'm ancient, you would expect an egg freeze to create at least 16 eggs, and for the egg freezing, for you to have the best possible outcome, they need around 20 eggs. So if things were okay, I would go through the process once, if I decided to, and Bob's your uncle. However, the blood test came back, and if they did the ovarian stimulation to freeze my eggs, I would only get 3 eggs. So I'd have to go through the process 6 times minimum, and it's a process of 2.5 weeks injecting every day, going back and forth to the clinic. It's emotional. There are medical risks. It's big. So, and also you have to pay every time, and it's like thousands. So my options for that and the news of that was quite a lot to take in last week, along with moving house and loads of other stuff which I'm not allowed to go into. But it was a lot. It was a lot. And I reached out. Obviously, Mum and Dad were amazing, absolutely amazing. Because I was like, shit. It's real. And I know it's not a no, but I've basically been told that if I don't freeze my eggs now, my 30% chance of getting pregnant goes to 15% next year, goes to 10% the year after that. And unless I've got the money and the willpower and the mental strength and all of that to do this now, I might be looking at a future without children. But then, after much talking and quite a few tears, I suddenly thought something else, and spoke to Joff about it, and Hen and Evan, some of my best friends in the world, and they all said to me, Jem, who defines what the right path is? Who defines what motherhood is? You can adopt, you can foster. You're already a mum to Ruby, my dog, and yeah, I am. She's bloody full time as well. But the point was, it was God, yeah, we have been so conditioned, way back when, 1984 I was born, as women, but also as men, to think that that's the path, that's what you do, that's just it. And actually it's not. And equally, who knows what might happen for me? Who's to say that one day I meet the man of my dreams and, it happens, and it might be 3, 4, 5 years down the line. It's not a no, but it's a very real reality that it might be, in terms of me being a mother through blood. But actually there are other options, and those options do not take away the love that I could give a child. And for anybody else out there, those other options do not mean you've failed, do not mean you need to feel ashamed, do not mean that you need to live a life of regret. It doesn't mean any of that. Now, whether this news that I've received is connected to the eating disorder or not, the doctor couldn't categorically say. But I think yeah. But that doesn't mean that I go about my day now, or my week, or my life, going, I've royally effed up, and I've ruined all of my chances. Because remember, if you're feeling like that, and you've been through an eating disorder, or you're going through this at the moment, or you've been told that your chance of kids has been taken away from you, remember, an eating disorder is not a choice, okay? It happened. It is what it is. Do not live your life regretting. What you can do is what I'm doing, is thriving in my life and letting go, and unpicking and unpacking and learning my tools to live a fulfilled and healthy life. But there's going to be bumps and shit along the way. But please, I beg you, do not live feeling regret. If you're going through this process as well, whether you've got an eating disorder or not, you know, think about the fact that there's not, who wrote the rule on what motherhood is? Who wrote the rule? But if you are going through an eating disorder and you're not seeking help, please do. Please reach out. If you are going through this right now, and you're still going through the eating disorder, I'm going through this right now, but I'm recovered, or the recovery after recovery, or whatever you want to call it, please reach out. And if, like me, you've been free of the eating disorder, when I say free, living my life without an eating disorder, with me being in control of it, not it being in control of me, like I have for the last, where are we, 2021, 14 years? How old am I? 37. I've said that enough times, haven't I? Anyway, I digress. If you're where I'm at and this is happening to you, you're not on your own. It's okay. What will be, will be. But make sure that you reach out, whether it be to Seed or to a friend, and talk about it. Because it's a lot. And you're not on your own. And that was 16 minutes. And I'm now going to shut up. But I just felt it needed to be said. And there's nothing to be ashamed of or scared of. And we're all in it together. Sending lots of love.